Floma Shkarman, Floma State, welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today with today's video. Today I'm speaking about how the filter of your world will always perpetuate your suffering. You have to pick the way that you suffer through this life, to pick that path. That what am I willing to put effort towards in order for it to work to my benefit? Why did I start talking about this? I got very triggered by a certain individual who was arguing on Shiva's channel, okay? I checked out his YouTube channel, and this guy was making an argument that spirituality is poison because it traps people in concepts, okay? So he claimed that words, beliefs, narratives about enlightenment actually block you from true realization. So he thinks that the moment you're striving towards something, like self-realization, you've already corrupted it. Why? Because you're defining something that you haven't even experienced yet. And according to him, people delude themselves by using spiritual ideas to reinforce their ego rather than dissolving it. So he says that spiritual concepts are just words. They automatically create limitations, and real truth can't be captured in language. And he suggests that most people don't actually experience spirituality, they just talk about it. This is his take, guys, okay? I'm gonna give you the Uncle Makara approach. He argues that because concepts are inherently false representations of reality, spirituality that often relies on them becomes a trap rather than a path to freedom. And finally, he warns us about the dangers of spiritual schizophrenia. Let's put a mental illness term on it, right? People getting lost in ideas, chasing enlightenment, and becoming more confused than when they started. And then he even touches on how God can feel so contradictory to the ego that it makes people mentally unstable. Sounds profound, right? Like a deep, edgy deconstruction of spirituality? Or is it just repackaged nihilism with a mystic filter? Let me be fair for a second, because there is a truth to what he's saying. Spiritual ego is real. People do use spirituality to reinforce their identity rather than dissolve it. Instead of transcending the self, they create a newer, shinier version of the self. I'm special, I'm more spiritual than you. That's real, okay? That's real. Concepts aren't experiences, we get this, right? Knowing about something and actually experiencing it are two different things. You can study enlightenment all day, but unless you're actually hitting pure no-mind state, you're just parroting ideas. I agree with him on that. I also agree that spirituality can be a trap. You get lost in the mental masturbation, debating reality instead of living reality. You're no different than a guy arguing about maps instead of walking the actual terrain. But this is where my generosity ends, because the rest of his argument is pure pseudo-intellectual nonsense. He says spiritual concepts are poison. Bro, you just used 1,000 of them. This guy's like screaming like, language is a lie, while using language to say it. He doesn't say spiritual concepts are poison, but just spent an entire video lecturing people about them. Irony, paradox, okay? Straight up self-own. If all concepts are poison, then why are you so eager to push your agenda, push your concept? You say spirituality is a trap, and then build your own conceptual prison and invite people inside. Bro, just say that you want to be the only one whose ideas are valid. A real sage doesn't deny language. A real sage masters language. They master communication. They know words are just fingers pointing at the moon, but they still use them to touch, to guide, to transmit. They don't get stuck in the illusion that just because words aren't reality, that they have no value. The moment you think the words themselves are the thing, you're lost. But if you can think you can explain this without using words, you're even more lost. You can't define truth, so why are you defining it? This dude is out here telling people that truth cannot be described while also giving you a 40-minute breakdown on what truth is. That's like someone saying you can't ever really know anything while confidently telling you what they know. My guy, do you hear yourself? If you really believe the words distort truth, you wouldn't be making a whole ass video explaining your version of truth. You wouldn't be here debating and defining spiritual corruption, enlightenment, ego, realization, all these concepts you claim can't just be put into words. You're not just rejecting concepts, you're replacing the ones you don't like with your own. And you say seeking enlightenment is a mistake because we can't know what it is until we get there. But isn't that every skill in life? Do you refuse to practice martial arts because you can't truly know what it means to be a master until you are one? You refuse to play an instrument because I can't fully comprehend what it means to be a virtuoso? Of course not. You train, you experience, you grow. The path itself reveals the reality. But you still walk the damn path. The universe loves you, but don't forget to tie your camel. God realization makes people crazy, he said. No, it just exposes the ego's fragility. Realizing your own divinity can break your mind. Well, no shit. The ego doesn't like getting dethroned. That doesn't mean the realization is false. It just means that most people aren't psychologically prepared for it. When a caterpillar goes through a metamorphosis, it dissolves the goo before it becomes a butterfly. That in-between phase is terrifying. It's called ego death for a reason, because something dies. And what dies is the illusion, not reality. The problem isn't the realization itself, it's that most people don't prepare for it. That's why spiritual training matters. That's why concepts are useful. They help the mind adjust before it gets blasted into infinity. Real poison isn't the concept of enlightenment. Real poison is thinking that you can just reject it and still be free. Spiritual people are deluded. Bro, who hurt you? Every time I hear someone go on a crusade against spiritual people, I wonder, who hurt you? Did a guru scam you? Did you meet a bunch of fake New Agers and decide all spirituality is a lie? Did you try to meditate once and get frustrated because you didn't turn into a Buddha overnight? I get it. The spiritual marketplace is full of frauds, delusions, charlatans, people chasing clout. I get it. But throwing the entire thing into the trash because some people get lost, that's just reactionary. That's just like saying some scientists fudge data, so all science is a scam. If your only response to spiritual corruption is pure skepticism, you're just swinging the pendulum to the opposite delusion. True wisdom isn't in cynicism, it's discernment. At the end of the day, language, concepts, frameworks are just tools. And the moment you cling to them, you're trapped. But the moment you reject them outright, you're still trapped. But in a different way. A true adept knows how to play with the illusion while never getting lost in it. A Primal Sutra adept knows how to use words without being bound by them. A Primal Sutra adept knows how to hold multiple truths at once without contradiction. So here's the deal. If you think all spiritual concepts are poison, you haven't mastered them. If you think all spiritual people are deluded, you haven't met the real ones. And if you think enlightenment is just a lie, you haven't gone deep enough. At the end of the day, only poison sees poison. So drink deep from the well of wisdom or spit it out. Either way, you're still tasting it. Let's get it today, Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. Let's go. Poison into medicine. You already know. Boom.